Hello everyone, I'm Edna Matsuoka from the Konko Mission of Wahiawa, and thank you for allowing me the honor of sharing today this message for the Daidokai Kaigai Fukyo Kourosha Hotokusai, Overseas Missionary Contributors Gratitude Ceremony. I feel truly humbled to be speaking because today isn't about me. It's about the footsteps, the sacrifices, the tears, the prayers, and the deep sincerity of those who came before us. Because without them, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be born. So the heart of this ceremony is to remember and to give thanks to them. In Konko, we often say that our lives today are built upon the countless blessings, both seen and unseen. We can walk forward because someone before us prayed for us. They guided us, protected us, and cleared the path. Today we gather to remember the Fukyo kōrōsha, the missionary contributors who carried the light of Konko Daishin's teachings far beyond Japan's shores. They were not rich. They faced a lot of uncertainty. Many did not even know the language or customs of the places they were sent to. And yet they came. They came with faith strong enough to cross the oceans. Their lives are proof that the divine work of Toritsugi is not limited by distance, era, or culture. If there's sincerity, Kami will work through anyone, anywhere, including you and me. Our early missionaries didn't just bring teachings, they brought seeds. They brought seeds of hope, they brought seeds of prayer, seeds of mutual interdependence, seeds of everyday faith. They planted these seeds in unfamiliar soil, not even sure if anything would grow. But because of their sincerity, these seeds blossomed into churches, into communities, families, and generations of believers. Next year will be the Konko churches of North America and the Konko missions in Hawaii centennial celebration. Yes, we are turning 100 years old. I know a family in Hawaii who are in their 5th generation of practicing the faith. What brought them into believing Konko-kyo is still a mystery, but it's amazing to know that Konko-kyo was something worth passing down from generation to generation in this family. This ceremony exists because of the pioneering ministers as well as the faithful members of the community that continue to talk about the faith and hand it down. When Reverend Dr. Takahashi wrote to me, emailed me to ask if I would deliver this sermon, he mentioned my connection to the pioneers of Hawaii, especially his aunt, the late Reverend Haruko Margaret Takahashi, the founder of the Konko Mission of Wahiawa, and my work studying the history of the pioneer ministers for the upcoming KMH Centennial in 2026. But the real reason I stand here today is because of my connection to these people is not just about research, it's personal. This faith shaped my life, my church, my family, my identity. I want to pause here to speak from the heart. Growing up in the Konko faith, I always felt surrounded by kindness, by generosity, by guidance and blessings. At our church in Wahiawa, we hold the annual memorial services for the late Reverend Haruko Takahashi. And I really want to give thanks and credit to my parents, who are the current minister of the church, for telling me about Haruko-sensei's story every single year, over and over again. And from as far as I could remember, my mom would especially direct my attention to Haruko-sensei's photo on the wall over here. You know, I didn't know Haruko-sensei personally. I have never met her in my life. All I knew as a child was that she was a minister that established this church in Wahiawa. And my mom especially reminded me and my brothers that although we get to live in this house, this church, it's not our house. We get to live here through the virtue of Haruko-sensei and Kami-sama's blessings. We are merely caretakers of this place. But as I become older and I tried to really understand who this woman minister was, I began to ask deeper questions. Who really was Haruko-sensei? Who built this community before us? Whose prayers shaped the church I call home? Who sacrificed so that the Konko faith could reach our islands, our families, and our hearts? That journey led me to learn more about Haruko-sensei, who founded this church in Wahiawa. The more I studied her life, the more I realized how quietly she sacrificed, how deeply she loved her community, how faithfully she walked even when it was difficult. I'd like to share some of her life with you based on what I already know about her, and also based on some historical testimony given by her brother, Mr. Thomas Takahashi. Her life is a beautiful combination of miracles, hardship, and unwavering faith. Reverend Haruko Takahashi was a Hawaii-born local second-generation Nisei Japanese American, born in Kohala, Hawaii in 1910. When young Haruko was just 2 or 3 years old, she was kicked by a wild horse in Waimanalo. She was thrown to the ground, bleeding from her nose, ears, and mouth. Her spine was also injured, and there was no doctors. Her mother believed she would not survive, but somehow, miraculously, she did. Despite being nearsighted, colorblind, and living with a spinal injury her entire life, no one could tell because she never complained. She worked hard, she smiled, she never used hardship as an excuse. After attending school, she asked to learn sewing in Honolulu from 1928 to 1930. She studied under Miss Kusunoki, a Konko member who guided her to the Konko church on Liliha Street. Every single day, she went to seek Toritsugi mediation with Kodama sensei, with Reverend Masayuki Kodama. Then one day, as she walked home, one of her eyeglass lens fell to the ground. And as she bent down to pick it up, she realized that she can see clearly without them. Her eyesight had been healed. Overwhelmed with gratitude, she ran back to the Konko church to give thanks. From that moment, she felt strongly, I want to serve Kami-sama with my life. But not everyone agreed. When she told her sister Frances that she wanted to become a Konko minister, Frances was so upset she grabbed the frying pan and whacked Haruko on the head with it. She thought Haruko was being foolish and unrealistic. And yet, even after getting hit, Haruko sensei didn't back down. She didn't argue, she didn't fight. She simply held firm to the calling she felt from Kami-sama. This moment tells us everything about her character. Once Haruko sensei felt Kami's direction, nothing, not fear, not hardship, not even a frying pan to her head, could stop her. Her path to ministry began as she traveled to Japan on May 30th, 1933. Graduated from the Konko Theological Seminary in 1934, returned to Honolulu and received her minister's diploma the following year. With sincerity, she opened the Fukyō, a satellite worship hall in Wahiawa, on January 14, 1940 at 901 Kilani Avenue. It's kind of by the Wahiawa General Hospital. Then came World War II, December 7th, 1941. She was taken into custody by the U.S. government on suspicion of disloyalty to the country on December 14th, just a week later after the war began. What flagged her to be on the list was her trip to the Konko headquarters to enter the seminary. Her mission at 901 Kilani Avenue closed just shy of the 2 years since establishing her mission. She was arrested and interned, first at Sand Island and then at Honolulu internment campsite. Even while in prison, she kept praying and supporting others. Her faith didn't shrink, it grew deeper actually. She applied for parole 3 times while she was in Honolulu. On her first 2, she was told, "You can go home if you renounce your faith." She refused. She preferred prison over turning away from Kami-sama. But on her 3rd attempt, she was released without having to renounce anything. That is how sincere she was. On January 1st, 1948, she reopened the church at its current location on 207 Maliwa Avenue, right here, where I stand today. With the help of the Noguchi family and many faithful members, the church thrived once again. Reverend Haruko passed away on December 24th, 1972, at the age of 62. Her legacy continues to live in every prayer offered at Wahiawa today. Her life reminds me that true missionary work is rooted not in talent or strength, but in sincerity, gratitude, and full trust in Kami-sama. It also reminds me that even if we are not blood related, her existence is directly connected to my existence. Had she not received Okage and established this church in Wahiawa, me and my two brothers would not be here. We would not even be born. The pioneering ministers all had one thing in common. Their sincerity was at a whole different level. This heart of sincerity is beautifully captured in the writings of Reverend Rikimatsu Hideshima, a missionary in Seattle, who wrote honestly about the challenges he faced in America. Echoes of a Soul, Tested by Fire, Part 1 by Reverend Rikimatsu Hideshima, 1931, he wrote, "Bringing the path of the divine family system to a nation built on individualism, this is where the true difficulty lies." He talked about the strong materialism he observed. Everything is about money. Money is a solution to all things. But then he revealed what waited on his heart. Meanwhile, we struggle day and night, anguishing over how to save even a single soul. This was the sincerity of our pioneers, to help one soul, even just one. The story of Honolulu Church, shared by the second head minister, Reverend Kikue Kodama, in the 50th anniversary of the Konko Missions in Hawaii publication, adds another powerful chapter. The Honolulu Church began in 1929 and grew quickly, but in December of 1941, everything changed. Reverend Haruko, Reverend Sonoda, Reverend Horibe, and Reverend Masayuki Kodama were all arrested and interned. Before being taken away, Reverend Masayuki Kodama's last words to his wife were, "Please pray very hard." She wasn't even allowed to respond. He was sent from camp to camp, from Hawaii to Wisconsin to Tennessee, Louisiana, Montana, and Missouri. Then he was expatriated to Japan. For 3 years, Reverend Kikue Kodama, his wife, heard nothing. Can you imagine that? Not knowing if your husband was alive or dead for 3 years while taking care of 6 young children. I don't know how she did that. I really don't know, but I can only imagine she placed 100% trust on Kami-sama. In the absence of her husband, Reverend Kikue had a dream. In her dream, her husband appeared at the church in formal haori hakama, carrying loaves of bread. When she asked where he was going, he said, "I'm taking bread to feed the internees." This dream she saw had given her courage when she woke up from that dream. Even though he wasn't there, she knew his prayers were still with her. I learned that she kept a sacred shrine in her bedroom, the oyashiro, in the closet, and took it out secretly to pray every night. Raising 6 children alone and relying only on prayer, she continued her ministry. In 1950, after 9 long years, Reverend Masayuki Kodama finally returned to Hawaii. I heard that the youngest child didn't even know who this man was that was standing at the doorway because he was away for so long. And she was only a newborn when he was taken away. 16 years later, the current Honolulu church was built through Kami's blessings and the members' prayers and support. Kikue Sensei ended her testimony with these words: "If we have sincere faith and a thankful heart as we receive blessings from Kami, we shall find much happiness throughout our lifetime. This is the spirit of the fukyō kōrōsha. As I reflected on the journey of the pioneer ministers, one thing became very clear. Our faith today is a gift given by their perseverance. It became impossible not to feel gratitude. It became impossible not to want to continue their work. It became impossible not to feel called to remember them through events like this. We often admire the visible accomplishments of our missionary pioneers, the churches that they built, the communities they nurtured. But what moves me even more are the things we cannot see. The late nights when they worried whether the church would survive, the loneliness of being in a foreign land, the financial instabilities they must have encountered, the heartbreak of illness, loss, and cultural barriers, the faith to start again after every setback. They were not perfect, but they were sincere. They were human, but Kami worked through them. Their lives teach us something very important. Missionary work is not measured by success, it is measured by sincerity. The word Hōtoku means repaying virtue, not repayment with money, not repayment with praise, but with virtue. It means because someone blessed me, I will bless others. Because someone prayed for me, I will pray for others. Because someone made the path easier for me, I will make the path easier for somebody else. Today, we are not just honoring the past. We are renewing our commitment to carry their virtue into the future. As we honor the pioneers, we are invited to reflect, how will we continue their legacy? We can offer Toritsugi mediation, pray for those in need, support our churches, welcome the newcomers, pass down the teachings, and live the faith every day with gratitude. Trust Kami with all of our hearts. This again is the meaning of Hōtoku, repaying virtue with virtue. If the pioneers of our faith could speak to us today, I believe they would say, don't worry about being great, just be sincere. Don't worry about numbers, just love the people in front of you. Don't be afraid of hardships, Kami will guide you. They don't want admiration, they want continuation. In conclusion, let us take a moment to remember all of the pioneer ministers of North America, Hawaii, and the rest of the world, and for every ancestor in faith, known and unknown, whose prayers carried us here. May their devotion shine through our actions. May we walk forward with humility and purpose, and may Tenchi Kane no Kami continue to guide us always. Thank you again for allowing me to share my message. Arigatou gozaimashita.